Hi, this is Marin Rose with Libra Organizing. Last week I periscoped, broadcasted the downstairs of my own house. As a personal organizing coach, my clients often wonder what my house looks like and how I organize things. So everything I present today doesn't mean that this is the one and only way to do it. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily the right thing for you, but I'm here to satisfy your curiosity to see what the personal space of an organizer looks like. So right now we're in the home office at our house. Now once again, we are currently living in a 4-bedroom house, very charming, very spacious. It feels very luxurious to us, having come from a 1-bedroom apartment in DC. And in May, June, we're going to be moving to New York and expect to have a much, much smaller space again. So as I show you this house, keep in mind that in a few months I'll be going through the downsizing process and we'll have to reevaluate how to fit the same functionality into a much smaller space. So this is our home office. My husband studied for one of his medical exams here when we moved in 3 years ago, and we practically lived in this room. I lived on this chair. I had a book or my laptop with a movie on for hours every day, and the whole time Daniel was over here at the desk studying for hours and hours. So we got a lot of our fill of this room when we first moved in. This desk is really great. It's just the right size for me. It's not so tiny that I don't have any desk space. I mean, I want to be able to spread out a little bit, but it's also not a big monstrous thing with tons of drawers that attracts a lot of clutter. So I am going to show you the inside of our desk drawers. There are 2 main drawers here, so I just split them between me and my husband. This one's mine. And you'll see there's really not much in here. It's really just kind of the supplies that I would use. So we've got some stationery, my stapler. I love these little address labels. I don't know, I mean, if you're that lazy, I guess, like me, then you don't want to write out your address all the time. So I have one of those. And I keep my stamps and my business cards. And this is also where I keep tickets to things that we have upcoming if they weren't left at will call. And also, well, I can't show the front of this because this is also where I keep cards that I have purchased in advance of events like Valentine's Day for Daniel. So this is my secret, very secret hiding spot because he's the one filming this and can totally see where I keep that. Up here, I've also just got some, and this is highly personal, but this is basically all of our, what I call critical documents. These are things like passport, birth certificate, things like that. If you don't have a dedicated spot for these papers in your house where you know exactly where you are, these are the most important papers. These are the ones that you definitely need, not all the time, but you definitely need, and they're really hard to replace. So if you're wondering right now, where did I put my birth certificate? Where is my social security card? Is my passport up to date? Find one place, whether it's in a filing drawer or a safe or whatever's comfortable for you, and make sure that all of those critical documents are together in one spot. If you do nothing else with your papers, those are the ones that you definitely want to keep track of. And then up here, I just have the rest of the supplies. These are the ones that I don't use as often, tape and a calculator and things like that. I guess these days, I could probably get rid of that calculator because I'm always on my computer, which has its own calculator. Daniel kind of has the other side of the desk, so this is his. Now you'll notice that he's got a lot of electronic kind of stuff in here. I have no idea what any of this is, but it's obviously important to him. So it's just here, and that's part of marriage, is just giving the other person space for the things that you don't understand at all. He's got his stationery, he's got some of his medical stuff, and we also keep our checkbook right there. And I keep this little note on it so that if he does write a check, he remembers to tell me about it because I'm the one who keeps track of our checking account and will wonder where he's writing checks. Then this is, voila, more electronic stuff. I have no idea what it was. It's Daniel's, that's his drawer, and the top drawer is empty. So you'll see really not a whole lot here. The one thing that I always want, that we all always want readily accessed is pens and scissors. So those are the only things that go on top of the desk because if I've got a phone call or if I have a great idea and I want to write it down, I don't want to be searching for a pen. So this is pretty much the place in our house where pens and pencils live. We do have a couple in our kitchen and a cabinet with a notepad. So we've got, you know, a set upstairs and downstairs. But I don't like to have pens lying around everywhere because, and I think I talked about this last week, when they're everywhere, it's almost like having them nowhere. If you don't know exactly where you are, you'll still be searching for them. Even if they're in every room, you'll still wonder where they are. So when I use a pen or a marker or the scissors, I tend to put it right back where I found it. That's me. Let's see. Other than that, the only space that we have in here is the closet. Now this really is a bedroom. This is the smallest bedroom of the 4 in the house, and it could be a very comfortable bedroom. And so you've got this really nice deep closet. Of course, it's just the 2 of us and our 3 pets in the house. So we've used this closet as our sort of home office storage. If we didn't have this, we might have a filing cabinet or some open shelving. This will be something that will have to be decided when we move into a New York apartment. But you'll see, I think my favorite thing, and we got this in DC actually for a closet that we have there, is this little cart on wheels. And it's just really convenient. We have our printer on here, which is wirelessly connected, and it just stores printer paper. And I have a little bag here for when I do presentations. I've got my materials that I take for Libra organizing. Daniel has his medical bag. So it's just really convenient. Now this could be out, it could be next to your desk. But since we have this nice big closet, I love that we can put it away and not see it. And then I've got a hanging, can you see that, Daniel? I've got a little hanging file here. I just attached it with screws or a nail. And these are kind of the 3 folders that I work on most often. These are my critical papers for Libra organizing. So these aren't notes or to-do lists or anything like that. They're really client contracts, copies of my business license, the really critical things that in case I needed, I would get to right away. The stuff that I'm actively working on is really on my computer. And if you're wondering, Libra is for Libra organizing, that is my organizing business. The other 2 folders I have here are volunteer work that I do. One is for Augusta Ballet. I'm on the board of that organization, and AWC is Augusta Women's Club. And it's the same thing here. This isn't active items. It's really resources, like in Augusta Ballet, I think I have a list of all of the board members and their contact information, our bylaws for Augusta Women's Club. These aren't things that I'm pulling every day. These are just the critical papers, which is really what I encourage people to do with a home office. The active items, the things that you're working on, lists of things that need to be done, that you're needing to look at every day, should really be in a workspace somewhere. So that should be on your desk or on your computer, in a place where you haven't put it away. I don't file anything until it's been resolved and handled. Otherwise, kind of out of sight, out of mind. It might completely slip off of the to-do list by accident. So really anything in the home office is things that hopefully I will never have to access, but it's stuff that you kind of have to have. These days, there's very little paper that any of us needs to keep. We used to keep, and some of my clients still do, have decades worth of canceled checks, copies of invoices and bills with the word paid written on them. None of that is necessary to keep. These days, everything is electronically kept. Even if you're not keeping it on the cloud, your bank or the other organization that you're working with has it on the cloud, and you can always get copies of those records. And aside from that, if you are paying a bill and then writing on the bill paid and then filing that, that is not proof that you paid your bill. So even if you pulled that out and tried to prove to your electric company that that bill was paid, that would do you no good. Your electric company is going to want to see a copy of a canceled check, which your bank can provide, or a credit card charge, which your credit card company can provide. So having those things is really of no use to you. It takes up a lot of time and obviously a lot of space for paper that really doesn't do anything for you. So the few files that we have, and again, I've got this little step stool right here just to keep it in here because obviously the shelves are high. On the left side is my standing file. And this, if you can see, I'll kind of pull it down a little bit. This is all of my files from the last, I don't know, 20 years, I guess. And basically, I've got all my tax returns with the current year in front. So as this is my 2016 taxes. As I have business expense receipts as I get things from the government that I need to turn in. If there's a W-2 that comes along, they all go in here. And then in the back, I have medical records for all 3 of our pets. And that is basically it in terms of my paperwork, and that's really all you need. A lot of my supporting documentation is either on my computer or, as I said, accessible via my checking account or my credit card statement or other things like that. Daniel also has a standing file, and he has even less than I do, because I'm the one who kind of handles most of the taxes and the financial paperwork. So this is probably the most important thing we have in here. Don't you hate how the mortgage company always gives you this long file that doesn't fit anywhere? This is our information on the mortgage on our house. And behind that, he's basically got some critical medical records, commendations from work. It's really just a couple of files of things that need to be in paper. Most of your files, Daniel, are also electronic and on your computer, right?
Yes. There's a question about shouldn't those things be in a fireproof safe?
Yes, they should. I guess it all depends on how comfortable you are with risk. And although I consider myself a generally risk-averse person, for me, the convenience of being able to access this stuff, as well as my critical documents that I had in my drawer over there, my Social Security card and things like that, I kind of choose practicality or ease over risk of fire. So yes, if you're not comfortable with that, this would be the kind of stuff that you would want to put in a safe, the stuff that's hard to replace. For me, I guess, if there were a fire, I don't know, would I come and grab stuff from my desk? Maybe. I'd probably grab my pets first. But anything that I'm saying, again, it all depends on your level of comfort. So for some people, they're not comfortable doing online banking. For me, I know that online banking is a risk, but I also know that there's an inherent risk in having any kind of bank account. And so for me, the ease and practicality of handling things online and not having to deal with paper outweighs the risk of identity theft, which really can happen to you whether or not you are using, online bill pay. So you really have to measure and assess your own sensibility and your own comfort level. So certainly, yes, a fireproof safe is a great idea if that makes you feel more comfortable. I believe we have one in our closet that was left here in the house before us, but there's nothing in it. And then the top shelf is, this is a box full of manuals and warranties. Most people have a folder, but I think they just get so bulky after a while that I just rather throw them in a box. And when we move, we'll look through that and just take the couple of things that are really critical. Things like an alarm clock or like a little handheld type of digital device that isn't worth a lot of money. I don't keep those manuals or warranties because I know if it breaks, I'm just going to buy a new one for $10 or $20. And I certainly don't keep a lot of manuals that don't have warranties because honestly, if I can't figure out how to use my washer dryer, I'm going to go online to find out how to fix the problem before I come digging through a box and looking for a manual. So most of the manuals that are up here are actually the things that we inherited with the house, and I'm only keeping them to turn over to the new owners for the washer dryer, for the dishwasher, for the refrigerator, things like that, major appliances. The other 2 boxes are really something that I get asked about all the time. The hardest thing for most people to part with is sentimental things. So old pictures, note cards, drawings, all of those things throughout childhood. A lot of things are what your children have created and brought home, and those can take over really quickly. And people ask me all the time, well, how much of that do you have, and where do you store it? And my answer is these 2 boxes. You'll see my initials are on this box, and Daniel's are on this box. You will notice that they're not fancy. They were just leftover banker's boxes from when we were moving. You do not need to be in fancy matching containers. They could be if you get a kick out of that, but I like cheap and easy, especially if it's going to be put away in a closet, over expensive and beautiful. So basically, this is my 1 box of memorabilia. And it is somewhat organized, though it doesn't look it at the moment. But I've got cards from my husband, letters from my parents when I was away at camp as a child, some loose photographs, some little stories and things that I wrote as a child. And that's it. Whatever doesn't fit in this box doesn't belong in my home. So you'll see that I am very picky about what is meaningful enough to save. You'll also notice that this isn't in an attic somewhere. It's not in a storage unit somewhere. It's right here in the home office. And I think that's important. If you're going to save something, and if you're going to dedicate space to it because it's important or meaningful to you, then it should be in a place where you can pull it down and look through it and enjoy it. If it is up in an attic somewhere or out in a storage area that you have to drive to get to, then it might as well not be there at all because you're not using it, you're not enjoying it. So if there is something that's important to you, display it, frame it, hang it up in your closet, or put it in a box where you can pull it down and look through it with your family. Daniel and I just pulled down our boxes maybe a month ago. It was kind of a year-end thing, and we just poured some wine one night and looked through our boxes and told each other the same stories that we've told each other every year when we do this, and it's nice. It's always really fun. And I find that every time I look through it, there are things that I'm ready to part with that maybe I wasn't ready to part with before, because I have new things that I've collected that I want to keep. So that is basically the home office. Daniel did point out that I missed one feature. Now, I don't, other than the time that Daniel spent studying for his medical exam here 3 years ago, we don't actually spend a lot of time in the home office. And I think that's probably true of a lot of people. This is really a storage area. It's where we keep our supplies. It's where we keep our files. But so often, if either of us is working, we're working at the kitchen table or in the living room, or we're bringing our laptops to a coffee shop. And I think a lot of work is mobile in that way because we all have laptops and mobile devices, unlike when we used to be chained to our desks. So that means that we're not actually creating a lot of trash in this room. And certainly if there is trash, it's paper generally. So it's not messy. Like, we're not eating meals up here. We're not taking, dirty, messy stuff, kind of like kitchen trash stuff here. So what I do, and I've recommended this to several clients who can't stand cords and wires, we have a wastebasket in here, but we don't really use it for trash. Daniel has a keyboard that once in a while he attaches to his laptop, and so that's just kind of stored in here. And actually, I guess we don't have any in here right now, but the lamp cord that you can see here, I stick it in the trash can. And for a lot of my clients that do have computers or printers or phone chargers or lamp cords that are kind of hanging down behind their desk, a lot of them say, oh, I hate all the wires, they're so ugly, they're so messy. And if you're not putting, empty soda cans and things like that in your trash, if your trash is just paper and it's not dirty or going to destroy anything, I recommend just sort of jamming all of those cords and wires into your wastebasket, and then it just looks a little cleaner. So that's just a small little tip that has worked for a lot of my clients. So I think that's it in here, and I'm going to take a quick break and come back and show you the guest areas in our upstairs before I take you into our master bedroom and my closet. So do we have any more questions before I go? Any requests?
Marin, at KJ4 was asking if you have or keep a junk drawer in the kitchen, and why not?
Junk drawers. You probably won't be surprised to hear that I don't believe in junk drawers, because I don't believe in junk. Anything that you have chosen to bring into your house and into your life should have a definition and a purpose. So the idea of having junk doesn't make sense to me. I have pens and pencils, and I have a place to put that, and I have stamps, and I have a place to put that, and I have a checkbook, and I have a place to put that. I have tape, and I have a place to put that. I've got a ruler and a measuring tape and a hammer and tools, which I showed last week where we keep our tools downstairs in the pantry. What doesn't make sense is lumping all of those things together into one junk drawer. because then you never know where it is, and you wonder, well, is it in the junk drawer, or did I put it away in some special place? And then, of course, you're dealing with digging through a junk drawer. So again, I'm not morally opposed to junk drawers, and if it's working for you, that's great, go for it. No shame in having a cluttery drawer, but it doesn't make sense to me. I think just the idea of having something that you can't define as a category goes against the basic organizing principles of only having things that you need and use and love in your house, of keeping like with like, so all pens and pencils together and all bottles of glue together, for instance, and also just having a specific place for all of those categories and keeping them in that place.
Great, and thank you everyone for joining us. If those people are interested in videos from last week, we will have a link from LibraOrganizing.com and the Facebook page to the YouTube channel, which will have last week's and this week's videos.
That's right, yeah. So last week's videos are already up, and probably the easiest way to find them is just to go to Libra Organizing on Facebook, and you can see some photos from that and watch the whole videos if you would like. So I'm going to be back in probably less than 5 minutes to show you the guest areas in our house, and then I'll take a break and show you my very personal space in my closet. Thanks.